Hello, here we are. We're going to do Lamentations 4 and 5, and I'm giving you guys a different video because I erased my original that I had put up elsewhere. So you're going to hear Lamentations 4, 5, and Ezekiel 1 and 2 right now because I could not figure out how to catch that video from another page and put it up to YouTube. So I'm going to do this one especially for my YouTubers. Lamentations 4, and we remember this is Jeremiah lamenting over Jerusalem. How the gold has lost its luster. The fine gold becomes dull, the sacred gems are scattered at every street corner. How the precious children of Zion, once worth their weight in gold, are now considered as pots of clay, the work of a potter's hands. Even jackals offer their breasts to nurse their young, but my people have become heartless like ostriches in the desert. Now, ostriches are known as terrible mothers. They abandon their eggs. Because of thirst, the infant's tongue sticks to the roof of its mouth. The children beg for bread, but no one gives it to them. Those who once ate delicacies are destitute in the streets. Those brought up in royal purple now lie on ash heaps. That's how fast it can happen, folks. The punishment of my people is greater than that of Sodom, which was overthrown in a moment without a hand turned to help her. Their princes were brighter than snow and whiter than milk, their bodies more ruddy than rubies, their appearance like lapis lazuli. But now they're blacker than soot. They're not recognized in the streets. Their skin is shriveled on their bones. It's become dry as a stick. Those killed by the sword are better off than those who die of famine. Racked with hunger, they waste away for lack of food from the field. With their own hands, compassionate women have cooked their own children who became their food when my people were destroyed. The Lord has given full vent to his wrath. He's poured out his fierce anger. He kindled a fire in Zion that consumed her foundations. The kings of the earth did not believe, nor did any of the people of the world, that enemies and foes could enter the gates of Jerusalem. Sounds like America. People think all over the world that nobody can breach America's walls. Now they grope through the streets as if they were blind. Oh, excuse me. But it happened because of the sins of her prophets and the iniquities of her priests, who shed within her the blood of the righteous. Hypocrites. Now they grope through the streets as if they were blind. They're so defiled with blood that no one dares to touch their garments. Go away, you're unclean, people cry to them. Away, away, don't touch us. When they flee and wander about, people among the nations say they can stay here no longer. The Lord himself has scattered them. He no longer watches over them. The priests are shown no honor, the elders no favor, much like America today. Moreover, our eyes failed, looking in vain for help from our towers. We watched for a nation that could not save us. People stalked us at every step so we could not walk in our streets. Our end was near, our days were numbered, for our end had come. Our pursuers were swifter than eagles in the sky. They chased us over the mountains and lay in wait for us in the desert. The Lord's anointed, our very life breath, was caught in their traps. We thought that under his shadow we'd live among the nations. Rejoice and be glad, daughter Edom, you who live in the land of Uz. Now remember, Edom were basically, they're the same stock, they're Jewish, but they're Esau's line, and they did not like Jacob's line, the Israelites. They were never friends. Rejoice and be glad, daughter Edom, you who live in the land of Uz. But to you also the cup will be passed. You'll be drunk and stripped naked. So he's saying, laugh at us now. It's going to happen to you. Your punishment will end, daughter Zion. He won't prolong your exile, but he will punish your sin, daughter Edom, and expose your wickedness. Lamentations 5, and this is the last one of Lamentations, last chapter. Remember, Lord, what has happened to us. Look and see our disgrace. Our inheritance has been turned over to strangers, our homes to foreigners. We've become fatherless. Our mothers are widows. We must buy the water we drink. Our food can only be had at a price. Those who pursue us are at our heels. We're weary and find no rest. We submitted to Egypt and Assyria to get enough bread. Our ancestors sinned and are no more, and we bear their punishment. slaves rule over us, and there's no one to free us from their hands. We get our bread at the risk of our lives because of the sword in the desert. Our skin is hot as an oven, feverish from hunger. Women have been violated in Zion and virgins in the town of Judah. Princes have been hung up by their hands. Elders are shown no respect. Young men toil at the millstones. Boys stagger under loads of wood. The elders are gone from the city gate. The young men have stopped their music. Joy is gone from our hearts. Our dancing has turned to mourning. The crown has fallen from our head. Woe to us, for we have sinned. Because of this, our hearts are faint. Because of these things, our eyes grow dim. For Mount Zion, which lies desolate, with jackals prowling over it. You, Lord, reign forever. Your throne endures from generation to generation. Why do you always forget us? Why do you forsake us for so long? Restore us to yourself, Lord, that we may return, renew our days as of old. Unless you've utterly rejected us and are angry with us beyond measure. Now, they say that David and Moses and Jeremiah had this in common. They all loved Jerusalem very, very much. But they also took the Lord to task for punishing, abandoning, seemingly abandoning. They spoke up to the Lord, okay? And they do have that in common. All right, let's go to Ezekiel 1. Now, Ezekiel was a priest in the temple, okay? He was exiled, and he lived in Babylonia by the banks of the Kibar River. And he did live in the time of Jeremiah, but was much younger than Jeremiah, probably 30 years younger, okay? So here we go, Ezekiel 1. In my 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day, and let me say one more thing. He's a principal prophet. He's not a minor prophet. He's right up there with Jeremiah and Isaiah, okay? In my 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day, while I was among the exiles by the Kibar River, the heavens were opened and I saw visions of God. On the 5th of the month, it was the 5th year of the exile of King Jehoiachin, the word of the Lord came to Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, by the Kibar River in the land of the Babylonians. There the hand of the Lord was on him. So, on Ezekiel. I looked and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light. The center of the fire looked like glowing metal, and in the fire was what looked like 4 living creatures. In appearance, their form was human, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Now, we saw these creatures in Revelation, and we'll be there again. Their legs were straight, their feet were like those of a calf, and gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides, they had human hands. All 4 of them had faces and wings, and the wings of one touched the wings of another. Each one went straight ahead. They didn't turn as they moved. Their faces looked like this. Each of the 4 had the face of a human being, and on the right side, each had the face of a lion. On the left side, the face of an ox. Each also had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. They each had 2 wings spreading out upward, each wing touching that of the creature on either side, and each had 2 other wings covering its body. Each one went straight ahead. Wherever the spirit would go, they would go, without turning as they went. The appearance of the living creatures was like burning coals of fire or like torches. Fire moved back and forth among the creatures. It was bright and lightning flashed out of it. The creatures sped back and forth like flashes of lightning. As I looked at the living creatures, I saw a wheel on the ground beside each creature with its 4 faces. This was the appearance and structure of the wheels. They sparkled like topaz. Now, topaz is generally a gold gem, okay? It can be deep orange, it can be blue now, but originally it was gold to deep orange. And all 4 wheels looked alike. Each appeared to be made like a wheel intersecting a wheel. So I think of spoked wheels, and they're somehow intersecting. As they moved, they would go in any one of the 4 directions the creatures faced. The wheels didn't change directions as the creatures went. Their rims were high and awesome, and all 4 rims were full of eyes all around. That's scary. When the living creatures moved, the wheels beside them moved. And when the living creatures rose from the ground, the wheels also rose. Wherever the Spirit would go, they would go. And the wheels would rise along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. When the creatures moved, they also moved. When the creatures stood still, they also stood still. And when the creatures rose from the ground, the wheels rose along with them, because the spirit of the living creatures was in the wheels. Spread out above the heads of the living creatures was what looked like something like a vault, sparkling like crystal and awesome. Under the vault, their wings were stretched out one towards the other, and each had 2 wings covering its body. When the creatures moved, I heard the sound of their wings, like the roar of rushing waters, like the voice of the Almighty, like the tumult of an army. When they stood still, they lowered their wings. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard the sound of a flying bird's wings, but I was in Seattle many years ago, and a V-shaped, a chevron-shaped flock of Canada geese flew about 10 feet over my head steadily as I was walking up the street. It was a sunny day, which is rare in Seattle. And I did not know they were coming. They were totally silent. I was doing my business, walking up the street, and all of a sudden I heard what sounded like much rustling silk. And I looked up, and right above me, about 10 feet, were 30 Canada geese going over me. Now, when you see birds flying, you don't realize that their wings make a noise, but I heard that noise, and I'll never forget it. I conjure it up often to think about what that sounded like. It was a mystery. They were dead silent, no squawking, nothing, just the sound of their wings making a rustling like silk in a rhythm. I'll never forget that. So you can hear wings. Then there came a voice from above the vault over their heads as they stood with lowered wings. Above the vault over their heads was what looked like a throne of lapis lazuli. Now, if you know what lapis lazuli looks like, it's a deep ocean blue stone that can be polished into a type of stone gem. It's very beautiful. Matter of fact, I have a huge hunk of it here that was brought back from Iraq from a military man whose son gave it to Juliet, my granddaughter, and she's just left it here. It's like a fist-size hunk of lapis lazuli. It's amazing, but you can see the outer rock on the outside. It's almost like a geode. It's, you know, like an old rock, but you can see the lapis coming through. It's amazing. And high above on the throne was a figure like that of a man. I saw that from what appeared to be his waist up, he looked like glowing metal, as if full of fire. And that from there down, he looked like fire, and brilliant light surrounded him, like the appearance of a rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day. So was the radiance around him. Hallelujah. This was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. When I saw it, I fell face down, and I heard the voice of one speaking. Ezekiel 2. He said to me, "Son of man, stand up on your feet, and I'll speak to you." As he spoke, the Spirit came into me and raised me to my feet, and I heard him speaking to me. He said, "Son of man, I'm sending you to the Israelites, to a rebellious nation that has rebelled against me. They and their ancestors have been in revolt against me to this very day. The people to whom I'm sending you are obstinate and stubborn. Say to them, this is what the sovereign Lord says. And whether they listen or fail to listen, for they are a rebellious people, they'll know that a prophet has been among them. And you, son of man, do not be afraid of them or their words. Do not be afraid, though briars and thorns are all around you and you live among scorpions. Do not be afraid of what they say or be terrified by them, though they are a rebellious people. You must speak my words to them, whether they listen or fail to listen, for they're rebellious. But you, son of man, listen to what I say to you. Do not rebel like that rebellious people. Open your mouth and eat what I give you." Then I looked, and I saw a hand stretched out to me. In it was a scroll, which he unrolled before me. On both sides of it were written words of lament and mourning and woe. I love you very much, and I'll see you tomorrow. I will put up, now YouTube is a little slow, okay? So I'm gonna put this up tonight, and then tomorrow I will put up the video I've been holding back from you, which is Ezekiel 3 and on. Love you. Good night.